After the real heiress returned, I went back to the village. My ex-fiancé in the UK messaged me. "It's snowing in London. I miss you. What are you doing?" I replied, "Feeding chickens." Luke Dawson said, "Will you bring the chickens to see me before Christmas?" I turned him down. "No, my grandma would kill me and stop texting me. You've got a new fiancé now." When Luke messaged me, I was in the village feeding chickens. "It's snowing in London. I miss you. What are you doing?" I scattered a handful of corn onto the ground. "Freeing my hands," I replied. "Feeding chickens." He never minded being brushed off. "Winter time has started in the UK. Will you bring the chickens to see me before Christmas?" I glanced at the free-range chickens around me, then looked up at my grandma cleaning up chicken poop. I told him regretfully. My grandma would kill me. Also, stop texting me. Your fiancé has changed. Luke typed for a few minutes, then sent a voice message. The signal here was weak, and his voice crackled with static. "What do you mean by changed?" Before I could answer, he added, "Is there a thunderstorm over there? I remember you're afraid of thunder." "No thunder. A tractor just drove by." I spoke slowly, enunciating each word. "Actually, I'm not the miller's daughter. I'm feeding chickens in the countryside now. The engagement was originally arranged for their real daughter, so I guess it's time to switch." There was silence on his end. Before he could respond, I hung up and blocked him without hesitation. This marriage was a deal between two families. Now that we don't match anymore, there's no future for us. Better a sharp pain now than a long one. I covered my face, tears welling up until I remembered I had eggs to collect. I'd cry later. I left the Miller family empty-handed. My adoptive parents urged me to take my clothes and jewelry, but I turned them down. Their real daughter, Jessica Miller, stood nearby. She had grown up in the countryside, bright, cheerful, and unreserved. Her clear eyes met mine as she said gently, "It wasn't your fault. The baby switch was just an accident. You can stay," I said. "But I've enjoyed your life for so many years. At least let me try living yours." I tripped over the word life from saying it too many times. She scratched her head. "All right then." Before leaving, I only added Jessica on WeChat. She said she'd send me a PDF on postpartum care for sows and that I could ask her anything about pigs or chickens. Carrying Jessica's care and my own reckless courage, I boarded the bus home and began a new life cutting pigweed on the mountain and feeding chickens in the valley. Luke once told me, when the UK switches to winter time, the time difference becomes 8 hours. That's 1 more hour a day to love each other. After half a day in the village, I figured it out. Who cares about love? I just want to know when my hens will lay eggs. And with that, I headed to the coop. A hen was sitting on her egg, and I didn't know how to get it out. After thinking for a while, I messaged Jessica, "What do I do if the hen is sitting on the egg?" She sent back a cheerful voice message. "Girl, feed her some corn first. This is the famous chicken corn law, Tilda." I grabbed a handful of corn, laid it out in my palm, fed the hen, then reached in and scooped out a warm egg. I set the egg down, washed my hands, and replied, "Thanks, Jessica." Don't be so polite with me," her voice cut off halfway through, followed by her adoptive mom's voice in the background. "Jessica, can't you speak properly?" I chuckled softly, then felt a bit guilty. I figured I'd tap a digital wooden fish later and earn back some virtue. That night, the whole family gathered around a wooden table for dinner. I felt a little awkward and only dared to pick vegetables in front of me. Grandma tugged at her apron and asked in heavily accented Mandarin, "What's wrong, Jennifer? Don't like the food? I'll kill a chicken for you tomorrow." I shook my head quickly. "No, it's fine." She nodded, looking a bit uneasy. "Good then. If you need anything, just say it." I agreed. This place was actually quite nice, just a little hard to get used to at first. That night, Jessica Video called me. She lay on her bed, chin in hand. Getting used to it, sis? I said. I'll get there. She sighed. How do you always say things so gracefully? When can I learn that? I smiled. You're smart. You'll pick it up fast. You're such a sweet talker. One day, let's go cut pigweed together. I nodded. Sure. We were chatting about daily life when Jessica suddenly changed the subject. Why'd you block my brother-in-law? Brother-in-law? I paused. Who? Luke. Duh. At that point, even my graceful words couldn't help me. Jessica had just returned to the Millers, and she didn't seem to know the whole story. I said, Why talk about him? She replied, He wanted me to give you a message, but my English has an accent, so I'll just send a clip. It was a quote from Times, The Lord of the Rings asterisk. I would rather spend one lifetime with you than face all the ages of this world alone. So, sis, anything you want to say? I thought for a moment, but there was too much to explain. We're having sweet potato porridge with pickled veggies tomorrow morning. Jessica laughed, her eyes crinkling. You sure know how to eat. At dawn, the rooster crowed, and I got up with the birds. I had a bowl of steaming sweet potato porridge with pickles, just like I wanted. Then I strapped on a basket and got ready to cut pigweed. Grandma said, You can rest at home. No need to work. But I insisted. If Jessica did it, I'll do it too. She scratched her head, a little confused. I slung the basket over my shoulders, grabbed the sickle, and followed Jessica's map up the mountain. The mountain was thick with trees and overgrown plants. I didn't see a soul for ages, just the rustling of leaves in the wind. After cutting grass for half an hour, I started to get scared. My adoptive mom had always warned me not to wander alone in places like this. It'd be hard to find you even if something happened. The more I thought, the more scared I got. I ran downhill with a full basket of grass and even tripped along the way. I came home a mess hair, all tangled, leaves stuck all over me. I thought of all Jessica had been through and felt even more ashamed. Once I had signal, I sent her a message. I'm sorry, Jessica. What's wrong, sis? I choked up. I didn't know how tough your life used to be. Jessica. Tough? What do you mean? What did you do? Me. Cut pigweed. Her. So I really am a born pigweed cutter. Hand me that sickle. She made me laugh. And just like that, the heaviness in my heart lifted. I thought I'd miss Luke a lot, but once I started feeding chickens, I didn't have time to think about him. I really was fragile after finding out I wasn't their biological daughter. I nearly broke down. But the farm work made up for it. Staying busy helped push everything else out of my mind. Over the next month, I exchanged farming tips with Jessica, while Luke kept trying every way he could to reach me. I was a mess, emo, and emotionally shut off at the same time. By mid-December, as usual, Luke was off for the Christmas holidays. Normally, I'd be flying to London to spend it with him, but now, I was afraid he'd roast my chicken like a turkey. Just kidding. The gap between our families was too wide, we couldn't be together anymore. The first snow fell in the village, and I sent a video to Jessica. She got excited and said she wanted to come back and visit. She missed her old family, too. While we were chatting, she mentioned offhandedly, Luke came back to China. I froze. Really? She said. Yeah, and he's going to look for you. If he was coming, I'd better make enough sweet potato porridge for one more. That night, I dreamed of Luke. He wore a camel-colored coat, walking beneath angel-shaped Christmas lights, snowflakes swirling down like feathers. His eyes reflected the soft, golden glow of the street lamps. Once I graduate, let's get married, he said. I remember my old answer was, okay. But in the dream, I rubbed my hands together like a country bumpkin and said, Nope, my sow's about to give birth. I gotta get home. Then the rooster's crow jolted me awake. I got out of bed, put on my floral jacket with the big red peonies, grabbed the feed, and headed to the coop. After feeding the chickens, I went back inside for a bowl of steaming porridge. Life was plain and simple. Jessica didn't show up until almost noon. Her car stopped in the courtyard, and she stepped out, lifting her skirt slightly as she ran toward the house like a baby bird returning to its nest, calling out, "Grandma!" My adoptive mother came out slowly. The moment she saw me, her brows furrowed with a trace of heartache in her eyes. "Jennifer, you've lost weight." She walked up and took my arm just like she always used to. "If you've had enough of this life, just come home." Jessica doesn't mind having another sister. Jessica was a good person. I knew she didn't mind. But going back would be unfair to her. I shook my head. Forget it. She lived this life for over 20 years. I knew Jessica still had a long road ahead to adjust to her family. And I was always closer to my adoptive mom, more like her, too. The Millers were wealthy enough to spoil 2 daughters, but I couldn't in good conscience take what should have been hers. I'd already lived her good life for over 20 years. My adoptive mom sighed and said nothing more, turning to gaze at the distant mountains. At lunch, Grandma killed a chicken. There were 2 drumsticks. Jessica and I each got one. I rarely ate meat with bones in the past. It wasn't graceful enough. Jessica had no such burden. She dove right in. My adoptive mom frowned slightly and gave her a disapproving glance. But with so many people around, she pursed her lips and held back the words. After the meal, Jessica went to the kitchen to clean up. My adoptive mom leaned close and whispered to me, "Jessica's still not like you. I raised you myself. You're so much more sensible." I hesitated for a moment, then chose to call her Aunt Kristen. Jessica would be hurt if she heard that. She just never had to learn before. "She'll get better," she sighed. All right. I stacked the leftover dishes and carried them to the back kitchen. Jessica was scrubbing with a loofah sponge, looking like she knew what she was doing. I set down the dishes and walked over. "Let me do it," she said. "I wash cleaner than you." "Fair point," I insisted. "Still, I can't let you do all the work." After a bit of back and forth, she made room for me. Fine. Let's wash together. Watch my elite dishwashing technique, guaranteed spotless." In the afternoon, Jessica put on her old knitted gloves and came to find me to build a snowman. As she packed the snow, she chatted aimlessly. "Sis, why aren't you with Luke anymore?" The wind was cold. I wrapped my scarf over the lower half of my face and mumbled. "Because the Dawson family cares about marrying into the right class," she said. "But if you 2 love each other, isn't that enough?" I didn't want to keep dragging things out, only to get torn apart by our families in the end. Besides, Luke and Jessica were supposed to be childhood sweethearts. I didn't know how to explain all that to her. I just lowered my head and said quietly, "Once his family cuts him off, he'll get real humble." Just mentioning Luke made my chest tighten, like a net was caught around my heart, choking the sadness inside me. Jessica said, "Okay, I don't get it. Let's just talk about the sow at home." Our sow was about to give birth. She started counting on her fingers, explaining how to care for her postpartum. As she talked, she looked at me steadily. "Jennifer, you don't have to feel bad for me. I was actually pretty happy growing up. I was the only kid, and the adults rarely made me work. I wanted to help out. I majored in veterinary medicine in college, too, just so I could come back and help pigs give birth." She paused, then took my hand. "Don't beat yourself up anymore." I nodded, my nose tingling. "Thank you, Jessica." Just as we finished the snowman, Luke arrived. There was no room for another car in the courtyard, so he parked at the village entrance and walked over through the not-so-thin layer of snow. Jessica jumped to her feet and dashed back inside. "You 2 talk, I'm out of here. I hadn't seen him in 3 months." Snowflakes clung to his eyelashes, and the cold wind reddened his pale face. "Jennifer, I can't steer a boat, but if you were far, far away on the distant shore, I'd brave the storm just to find my treasure." He used to say that to me all the time, but my mindset had changed completely. Boats and rudders? Please. Try flying economy next time, you'll be plenty humble. I said, speak normal English. Luke gave in. Even if you're in this village, I'll come find you. Let's talk, Jennifer. We walked along the country road. His voice was smooth and warm, like aged wine. First time seeing you in this floral jacket. Still looks good. I sighed. I'm not the miller's heiress anymore. I was taught since I was young that even in love, you should marry your equal. Don't go playing savior. Yeah, well, now I'm the poor one. But the principle's the same. If I try to climb too high, I'll always be a step below you. When you're looking at angel lights in London, I'm out feeding chickens in the coop, Luke said. Cluck, cluck, feed me too. And just like that, he broke my spell. I was all set to cry in the snow. And poof, sad mood gone. He shoved his hands in his coat pockets and said casually, Okay, maybe I'm not funny. But Jennifer, love is enough for me. My voice got a little hoarse. You're always such an idealist. He looked down at me, eyes steady. Your words still love me. It felt like punching a pillow, no resistance, just softness. He said, You're the only one for me, Jennifer. Whether you're feeding chickens or shoveling manure, I asked. What if your parents don't approve of you being with a fake heiress and cut off your cards? Studying abroad will be tough, Luke replied. I've got a full scholarship, tuition's covered. I even made a contingency plan. I picked the safest and most affordable mode of transportation. I could take the bus northwest, then walk 100 kilometers every day. Crossing the English Channel might be tricky, but I'd buy myself a swim ring and wear it around my neck. Don't worry, I'd get a glow-in-the-dark one so I can swim at night too. How long it takes depends on the wind and currents. There's free seafood in the ocean. I'm okay with eating sashimi. And don't worry about lodging. I can be homeless and even apply for a vagrant subsidy. He rattled all this off in one breath, and I needed a moment to process. My brain shut down as soon as he said, walk 100 kilometers. Did you strap one of those bronze pig heads from the museum onto your neck? He chuckled. No, I just wanted you to see how sincere I am. I let out a quiet breath. Give me a little more time. Time to restart my life. Luke wanted to see what I did every day, so I brought him to the pigsty, rolled up my sleeves, and expertly poured feed into the trough. The sow was close to labor, so I had to give her meds and deworm her. The smell wasn't great, but he didn't show the slightest bit of disgust. In the future, I'll cut the pigweed, and you feed the pigs. A lifetime of happiness, simple as that. I looked at him calmly. You don't know how rough those mountain paths are, Luke said. I've done rock climbing. Another punch that landed on cotton, he added. I mean, when love crosses mountains and seas, I'll level them all for you. I rubbed my temples. Forget leveling mountains. If you've got nothing to do, go scoop the pig poop. He grabbed a bamboo broom from the corner and actually started sweeping. When he finished, he looked at me seriously. Should I carry the manure to the fields? I shook my head. No, it's winter. He put the broom back. It may be winter, but my heart's not cold. Nearby, pigs snorted, and chickens clucked. But his voice came through loud and clear. Like a stone tossed into a lake, his words stirred 1,000 ripples in my heart. I turned away and forced myself to stay calm. I've been feeding chickens in this village for a whole month. My heart is colder than 2-day-old frozen chicken poop, he sighed dramatically. Some people fall in love. Some stare at the sea at night. Some cross oceans and fail to win back their fiancé, I muttered in my head. Some people get pecked by chickens every morning. Luke stayed at a guest house by the village entrance, and Jessica was staying in the village too. She said she'd grown attached to the sow and wanted to personally help with the delivery to feel at ease. I don't know how she convinced our adoptive mom. Mom looked helpless before she left, but didn't scold her. That night, Jessica came over with a pillow to share my room. We huddled around an old-fashioned stove, warming our hands. The firelight flickered across her face. Sis, Actually, right after you left, the Dawsons brought up the engagement again. I felt a little sad. I figured, she said. I'd never steal your guy, but Luke's dad insisted on giving me his WeChat. My heart clenched. And then? She said. Then Luke rebelled. His credit limit got slashed, and he flew home in economy. Probably gonna be homeless overseas soon. She shrugged. He seemed so sincere. I agreed to pass a few words to you. My mind went blank, then instinctively drifted to Luke. The once rich and reckless young master now worried about plane tickets because of me. My chest tightened. I said, "Please tell him, don't do this anymore." Jessica waved me off. You both have mouths. I'm done playing messenger. No more talk about him, sis. Let's talk real stuff, I said. All right. Snow tapped against the window, and the room was warm, a perfect setting for heart-to-hearts. Jessica hugged her pillow and whispered, Honestly, I had a big problem with you before I came home. I knelt in apology. I'm sorry, she said. Oh, stop apologizing. Before I met you, I thought. If you turned out to be one of those manipulative, fake heiresses trying to sabotage me, I'd summon a million online trolls to come up with petty revenge plans. But you didn't bring a thing. Just quietly left, and even came back to help Grandma with chores. She stroked her chin, pretending to be dramatic. Woman, you're different. She scooted closer, eyes twinkling. I guess getting switched at birth was fate. We're pretty lucky to have crossed paths. I nodded and smiled. Yeah, a slim chance. Yet I ended up walking the life that was meant for her. She said, But my birth mom seems really disappointed in me. I've been studying for over a month and still don't feel ready to join the company, I reassured her. It's just a matter of time. You used to manage hundreds of chickens. Managing people will be a breeze. I still get pecked by chickens. Jessica burst out laughing. At your status, shouldn't you just point and have one slaughtered? I said. Sure, but I can't execute a chicken clan every day, she said. Anyway, would you be willing to join the company and study with me? There's stuff I seriously don't get, like when there are 12 executives but only 11 glasses of water. Help me out, sis. I'm just a weak, helpless little vet. As for Grandma, I'll get someone to help. You can't spend your whole life feeding pigs, right? I hesitated for a moment, then nodded. After I saw that paternity test, I was lost for a long time. I couldn't sleep at night. I didn't know how to start over. I had my life all planned out at 22. I'd finish my degree in business information management, train at the family company, then marry Luke in a few years. That paternity test shattered everything. I could no longer stay at the company with a clear conscience. I didn't know what to do next. In my confusion, I could only return to the village, manage hundreds of chickens, and haggle pig prices with buyers. Grandma always rubbed her hands, smiled politely yet distantly, and praised me. Jennifer studied abroad, so smart she can even sell pork for over 10 yuan a pound. All I could do was smile and nod, but my thoughts drifted. What should I do next? How do I fully let go of my pride and find a plain job to support myself? I didn't know. Then Jessica spoke up. She believed I could help her. I felt like someone drowning who suddenly grabbed a piece of driftwood. My eyes reddened, voice trembling. Thank you, Jessica, she said. I should be thanking you, sis. All right now, go to sleep. She tugged the blanket to cover us both. Good night, Makapaka. I couldn't sleep. In the dead of night, I crept out of bed, pulled on my floral jacket, stepped outside, and removed Luke from the blocked list. Then, with trembling hands, I sent a voice message. He picked up instantly, his voice gentle and playful as always, rising at the end with a smile. Snow's falling outside the window just like in my heart. Is my fiancé here to rain on my parade again? As I neared home, nerves kicked in, and I didn't know how to respond. So I asked, "Did you buy your return ticket to London yet?" He said, "Yeah, just one word," but I already knew the answer. "Economy class?" He paused for 3 seconds, then chuckled. "You guessed it." Then, like he was bragging, he added, "I waited forever to get that ticket. Only cost me 1,600. I sighed. Youth has no price tag. That's a steel butt express straight to London. He tried to sound casual. I might not come back during Easter. Next time I return will probably be after graduation. By then, my wings will be strong and my dad won't be able to control me anymore." His voice softened. "Let's not break up again, okay?" Luke had already walked 99 steps toward me. I heard myself say, "Okay." A few days later, the sow gave birth. Jessica handled the delivery herself and took care of the postpartum care. With that finally off her mind, she was ready to head back to the city and she was bringing me with her. I once again sat in the family car. Jessica was next to me, her hand nervously tugging at the hem of her shirt. "I'm starting a new chapter, Jennifer." I smiled and told her, "You've got this, Jessica." The car slowly pulled out of the village. I turned to take one last look at the place where I'd briefly stayed. The Millers never officially announced Jessica's identity after she returned, but everyone knew. When the two of us joined the company, people gave us meaningful looks. I didn't care. It was enough that she let me work there. I couldn't control what others thought. My position was Jessica's assistant. I'd grown up around my adoptive dad in the company, so I knew how things worked and was familiar with many longtime clients. I booked the restaurant for Jessica's first client meeting myself, and every dish was picked based on their preferences. I listed all the important notes for her, one by one. In the hotel hallway, I ran into an old friend, Emily. She used to cozy up to me, hoping to secure a business deal between her family and the Millers. Now she stood there, arms crossed, looking smug. "Jennifer, I never thought I'd see the day you ended up working for someone else." I knew what she was thinking. She wanted to reclaim all the pride she'd lost in front of me, now that I'd fallen from grace. I don't argue with idiots. I gave her a cold glance and turned to leave. She blocked my way and jabbed, "How much is little Miss Miller paying you? I can offer more. You could work for me instead." Then she added with a loaded look, "Besides, it's not like we've got some deep grudge." Did she really think Jessica and I were bitter enemies? I laughed in disbelief and was just about to snap back when Jessica walked over. She stopped right in front of Emily and said louder than her, "And who do you think you are, asking my sister to work for you?" Then, with signature sass, she added, "You should be raising mushrooms in a cellar. And if not, well, forget it." Her comebacks always took a second to process. They hit late but hard. Emily froze for a moment, then flushed bright red. Jessica looped her arm through mine affectionately. "Ignore her meltdown, sis. Let's go. Teach me how to give high EQ replies. I seriously can't deal with all those elders." I laughed. "Sure." I rented an apartment near the office. Jessica kept inviting me to move into the family home, but I politely declined. I was afraid our adoptive mom would start comparing us again, and that would only hurt Jessica. Ever since she stood up for me, our coworkers treated me better. Maybe they finally realized being real and being fake heiresses didn't mean we had to be enemies. I joked with her. "What is this? Big sis's thigh? Let me cling to it." She grinned. "Jennifer, I've got your back." Luke had already gone back to school in the UK. He was cooking for himself now, learning to live independently. "It's raining in London. I miss you. What are you doing?" The picture showed a bland and barely edible white people-style meal. I replied, "No rain, please. My corn's drying." Luke, "Back to farm work?" "Just kidding. Haha. I'm helping Jessica sort spreadsheets." Then I sent him 5,000 yuan with a note. "Get yourself something good to eat." Jessica paid me well. I was a corporate locust, tagging along to all her meetings, mooching off every conference's tea break. I hardly spent on food, So I saved most of my salary and just funneled it to London's starving artist Luke. He sent back a shocked meme, then declined it. I like living the experience. I'll just pick food from the trash. You keep the money. WeChat lets you decline transfers, but I quietly sent it through Alipay instead. I went to all sorts of events with Jessica. She was getting the hang of things, chatting effortlessly with high-level execs. Whenever people asked about me, she'd smile and say, "This is my sister, Jennifer." Her attitude reflected the Millers, so in most people's eyes, I became the Millers' second daughter again. When summer arrived, Luke graduated. My white moonlight came home. I paused work and asked Jessica for a day off to pick him up from the airport. She agreed instantly, then pulled a contract from the bottom of a drawer. "This is your dowry. Mom and Dad prepared it a while ago, 15% of the company shares and a few apartments. The keys and deeds are at home. I'll bring them tomorrow." I was stunned. "Isn't it way too early to talk dowry? I'm just picking him up from the airport." She tapped her chin. "True, but sign it anyway," I said. "No thanks. I'm not taking more than I deserve," Jessica said. "But Mom and Dad already made up their minds." I thought about it and replied, "Then I'll gift it to you." She grinned. "You're kinda amazing. You know that?" I glanced at the time. "Anyway, sis, I gotta go get him." I took the subway, then rode a bike for a bit. On the way, I picked up a cup of Mixue orange tea for Luke. He'd never tried it, so I brought one for him. I didn't wait long at the exit before he came out with his suitcase. Luke looked a little thinner. He was wearing last year's summer shirt. When he saw me, he smiled. "You came, Jennifer." I nodded and handed him the fresh orange tea. He stuck in a straw and started drinking. "Did you drive here?" I said. "I rode a bike," he said confidently. "Even if it took hours, you'd still bike here to see me. You do care about me." "Actually, I also took the subway, but never mind." I laughed. "Yeah, I care about you." Since he had luggage, it wasn't convenient to ride the bike, so we took a cab. While setting the destination, I asked, "Are you going home?" He shook his head. "My dad said if he sees me again, he'll break my legs." He'd always been a sensible kid. Who would have thought that in his 20s, he'd rebel so hard his usually proud father would threaten him like that? I felt a bit guilty. "All right then, let's go to my place first." I took Luke back to my apartment. On the way, he answered a call. His dad's stern voice came through the phone. "Do you admit you were wrong?" Luke replied firmly. "No, Dad. She's not some poor nobody. She promised to help run the family business with me when I got back." The voice on the other end shook with rage. "Whose business exactly? Not mine, I hope?" Luke answered. "No, I'll run yours, and she'll run her sister's. We've both got bright futures." Then the call ended with a click. Half a year ago, I probably would have panicked, thinking I was holding him back. But now, after 6 months of working, I've come to terms with it. Yeah, I'm just a small fry, so what? Around dinner time, just as I was about to order takeout, Luke had already pulled up the nearest market on his phone. "I'll cook," he said. He bought the groceries, put on an apron, and started chopping at the counter. The warm yellow light lit up his face. He looked like the perfect husband. Last year, both families had agreed. Once he finished his master's, we'd get married. But then the whole switch-up happened, and no one brought it up again. Luke made a bet with his rich kid friends that he could start a successful business on his own. Because of that, he borrowed millions and started working day and night. As for me, I kept doing what I always did, handling all of Jessica's affairs, so she had nothing to worry about. Eventually, she learned to handle things on her own and started taking on more business. My adoptive father was proud of her progress and happily declared in front of everyone, "I truly raised 2 good daughters." He still saw me as one of them. Luke succeeded in his startup. His wings were strong for real. His father finally gave in and told him to come back and take over the family business. As for the engagement, it was back on track. Jessica gave me time off to prepare for the wedding. She even pulled out a huge stack of notebooks and said, "These are for you. One of my client's sisters gave her best friend tons of stuff for her wedding. I can't lose to that." Her bizarre sense of rivalry made me laugh until my eyes curved. "You're too good to me, sis. I'm gonna stick to you forever." I'd gotten used to being the little sister. I was happy to be her loyal sidekick for life. I used to be the only daughter of the Miller family. My adoptive parents were strict with me. They wanted me to be calm and composed, never show emotion. I felt like I was trapped in the image of a girl as cool as a chrysanthemum. I never clicked with the other girls from elite families. We kept things polite but distant. Only Jessica was my real friend, the only person I could truly call sister. When Grandma heard I was getting married, she prepared lots of things for me. All the livestock, pigs, chickens were coming with me. Luke even cleared a patch in the yard to build a pigsty and chicken coop. His dad saw it and got mad again, thinking he was being reckless. Luke said seriously, "These pigs and chickens are Grandma's blessings. I'll take good care of them," I whispered. "Is it possible her blessing is for us to eat them?" He hesitated. "Can we not? I'm kinda attached." "Fine." Saying goodbye to the pigs and chickens felt weirdly poetic, but I understood. On the wedding day, both my adoptive and biological parents came. Among the guests were a handful of my rural aunts and uncles, but most were wealthy relatives from the Millers and the Dawsons. The big screen played memories of me and Luke, how I'd gone to high school abroad at 16 and became his junior. In our teenage awkwardness, he once shyly wrote, "This vast universe means nothing to me." I was clueless and unromantic. "Can you speak like a normal person?" "Luke." "Okay." At 18, I said yes to his confession. When I came back during a school break, our families were perfectly matched and already had business ties, so the engagement followed naturally. At 21, I returned to China and we started a long-distance relationship. He sent me videos of every first snowfall in London, asking, "Will you come before Christmas?" Until last year, when I fell from grace, turned out to be a fake heiress, and went back to the countryside to feed chickens. For the first time, he ignored his family's orders. His credit card got cut. He lived on the edge in London, nearly becoming homeless. At the end of the video, his voice was tender. "Jennifer, I can't steer a boat, but if you were on a faraway shore, I'd brave every storm to find my treasure." The video was beautifully edited. Jessica led the applause. In the audience, Luke's father, the story's designated villain, looked like he'd swallowed a lump of coal. Luke and I shared a smile. From now on, our endless summer would never fade.